Good morning, everybody. We're just waiting for a few more people to arrive, a few more participants, and then we'll get underway. All right, I think we'll make a start. Good morning, everybody. My name is Matt Gibbs, Principal Advisor, Immigration Engagement. Today we're very excited to be giving you a sneak preview of some of the enhancements that we'll be making in the coming months to Immigration Online. Thank you for taking the time to join us on the call today. We know that many of you are still in lockdown, juggling work and family and other commitments, and we know how challenging that is. So thanks very much for being here today. Joining me will be Josh Kennedy and Rob Perry, Immigration New Zealand Relationship Managers. I think many of you will have come to know them. Nick Eldis, Director of Policy Integration for Immigration New Zealand, and Gordon Barlow, who is our technical expert and will be on hand to answer questions a little bit later on. I do want to say that that we're still in the early piece and we are still building and testing the technology. But we know that immigration professionals such as yourselves are on Immigration Online every day, and we feel it's important that you have an early heads up about what's coming. Because we're still building the technology, we won't be able to answer every question that you have today, and I do want to stress that. But the questions that you do ask will give us a really good understanding of what you're going to need more information on. When the enhanced system does launch towards the end of this year, it will only be available for visitor visa applications. So you can think of this as kind of like a soft launch. This gives us a chance to see some applications flowing through the enhanced system, hear your feedback, and make changes that we might need to make before we launch more visa products on the enhanced visa system later in the year. Next year, sorry. Something that you might like to know is that we have an in-house technology team working with us on this, who can make changes and fixes, and we're not going to be relying on external third-party vendors as we have done in the past for Immigration Online. We're also producing a user guide for you, and again, the questions that you ask today will help us understand the sorts of things you'd like to see in the user guide. Please use the question and answer function in the bar at the bottom of your Zoom to submit your questions today. Just be aware if somebody has asked a question you'd like to ask too, give this question a thumbs up. That way we'll know that this is a popular and a priority question. We'll also help with our developing of the user guide as well. All right, I'm just going to pop us onto the presentation. Excuse my fumbling around. All right, so let's take a look at the agenda. Starting off, introduction to Immigration Online enhancements. Then transition, we'll look at the transition to the new system. Following that, how will Immigration Online change? Applying on behalf and sharing applications. How will visa processing change? And then certainly, we certainly intend to have time for questions. We hope that we will, and we'll be able to take some questions. Immigration, as you know, Immigration New Zealand is delivering enhancements to its Immigration Online system. These changes will ensure a better experience for people who deal with New Zealand's immigration services. Immigration Online is the online system people use to apply for some visa types. It can be accessed via our immigration website at immigration.govt.nz. Not all visas can be applied for using immigration online. Some visa types can only be applied for using paper forms. It can be difficult for applicants to understand what supporting evidence they must provide. So, for example, applicants are required to submit health evidence up front, which can lead to people getting health tests or exams they might not need. Free text fields lead to typo errors or people sending time checking or correcting errors. Once submitted, applicants have no visibility of the progress of their application or contact centres. Our contact centres handle something like 1 million calls per year. 40% of those calls asking about the status of their application. Most applicants are sent to a single case officer for assessment. This can cause delays as it is difficult to distribute work between different staff, teams or office or locations where there are peaks in applications or a backlog that needs to be cleared. The Enhanced Immigration Online System will support applicants to submit assessment-ready visa applications online. Applicants will be guided through the process by a smart form that will tell them what evidence they must provide. Applicants will have more visibility of the progress of their applications thanks to, in part, email notifications, enhanced immigration online dashboard showing the status of their application in real time, and the automation of administrative and previously paper-based tasks will give Immigration New Zealand more time to process visas. I'm now going to hand over to Rob, who will talk you through the transition to the enhanced system Immigration Online. Rob, over to you.
Thanks, Matt, and hi everybody. Rob Perry, for those of you that don't know me, wherever you are in New Zealand or indeed offshore, I hope you're safe and well. It's my pleasure to take you through the transition part of the Enhanced Immigration Online System. And like any big change, this is going to take time. I'd like to talk to you about the timeline now. Thanks, Matt. Next slide. So, different visa types will start being transitioned across to the Enhanced Immigration Online System from late 2021. Over time, all INZ products will move across to this new system, including employer products, for example, employer accreditation. Until all the visas are moved onto the new online system, there will be 3 systems for processing visas operating simultaneously. The existing Immigration Online System, which you're all very familiar with, the Enhanced Immigration Online System that we're talking about this morning, and paper applications, which you are all very familiar with. Applications using the Enhanced Online System will enjoy the benefits of the new system, and you'll hear about these benefits soon in this presentation. Visas submitted under the old Immigration Online System or the paper form will continue to follow the existing application processes. Applicants or representatives will still be able to log on to their old Immigration Online account to view applications submitted under the old system. During the transition, the website will guide applicants or representatives to the right online system, depending what visa they are applying for at that time. Thank you. So, here is the transition plan as it stands today. We are obviously closely monitoring any external events that may affect these timings, such as COVID-19 alert level changes. By the end of 2021, so this year, 30 types of visitor visa, will move to the Enhanced Immigration Online System. Please note, this will not include the Critical Purpose Visitor Visa. In the first half of 2022, student visas will launch onto this new enhanced system. The new employer accredited work visa will also launch on the Enhanced Immigration Online System mid-2022. The timings for other visa products moving on to the Enhanced Immigration System will be released in the future. The full benefits of the Enhanced Online System will be realised when all products have made the move. Thank you. So one of the things we really want to make very, very clear, and for you to make very clear to your clients, is do these changes signal the border is reopening? No, no, no. Information about changes to border settings will be announced by the government. So just really want to emphasise that. Thanks, Matt. So why is INZ choosing to launch these changes now? So because New Zealand's current border settings mean application volumes are low for visitor visas, what better time to launch this system? For example, the number of visitor visa applications was around $3,500 applications in June of this year, June 2021. 3,500 compared to 60,000 in June 2019. So this volume of applications still gives us a strong base for testing, but does minimise the impact of any disruption of the new online system. So this enables us as INZ to ensure that the system is robust, is working effectively before any other visa types are moved on to the new Enhanced Immigration Online System. So it's a great time to be doing it. That's all for me on transition, everybody. I'd like to hand over to Josh now, and he'll tell us more about the technology side of what you'll be looking at. Thanks very much, Matt.
Good morning, all. I'm going to take you through how immigration will change as a result of these enhancements. So enhancements will take place across all stages of the application, from the submission to processing to the final outcome. The look and feel of immigration online won't dramatically change, but it will feature some new technology that will improve the experience for all users of the immigration system. So let's take a quick look at some of these new capabilities. Our smart forms will tell applicants what information is required to complete the form before they commence the visa process. Help text and clear instructions will guide applicants through the process. Error messages will alert them to these issues or things they have missed. Dynamic questions will surface further questions based on the applicant's previous responses. This means visa applicants will only be asked questions that are relevant to their individual circumstances and the type of visa they are applying for. Lastly, applicants and advisors can't submit the form until all fields are completed correctly. This ensures the application is assessment ready and reduces time spent going back and forth to seek more information. New tools will help ensure data submitted during the application is correct and of high quality. This allows for more timely and efficient visa processing and less manual rework. Some of these tools include the Address Finder, which will validate the applicant's address against a global address reference database. The Photo Quality Checker tool will assess the quality of the photo that the applicant has uploaded. The Passport MRZ Checker will compare information submitted by the applicant to the data in the MRZ or the machine readable zone of the applicant's passport. And to be launched a little later on, and great news for advisors, applicants with e-chip passports will be able to scan their passport using a mobile app. This saves applicants from having to post their passports to the nearest visa application centre to manually validate this information is correct. The enhanced system will tell applicants what evidence they must provide up front, for example, police certificates, and then what evidence they must provide after submitting the application. This is because the system will now automatically detect what further information is needed based on the answers given during the application and the type of visa they are applying for. So this will be a big change for things like health and sponsorship. The Enhanced Immigration Online System is fully integrated with the Immigration Health System, known as IHS. Once an applicant has completed their visa application, the Enhanced Immigration Online System will identify if the applicant is required to complete any health tests or examinations. The Immigration Online System will check this against immigration instructions to see what evidence is required based on the applicant's answers, the visa they are applying for, and their intended stay. And it will also check it against records held on the immigration health system. For example, if the applicant requires an X-ray, the system will check if there's a valid one already on file before sending out any sort of request. If the applicant needs to carry out a health test or examination, they will be automatically notified by the system after the visa application has been submitted. If an applicant is required to provide a health test or examination, they will be issued an electronic letter with the specific type of test or examination to be undertaken. They can find this letter by logging into their Enhanced Immigration Online account. Applicants will be supplied with a reference number, which they can then give to an approved panel physician who completes the test or examination against this reference number. So using the unique reference number and passport details provided, the test results from the approved panel physician will be automatically recognised thanks to the integrations between the immigration health system and the Enhanced Immigration Online. Just to be clear, there is nothing stopping an advisor from preempting what medical information is required and having the applicant complete it prior to the submission of the application. In the Enhanced Immigration Online System, applicants are asked for their sponsor's contact details when they apply for a visa. The enhanced system will send an email to the sponsor requesting they complete and submit the sponsorship declaration securely and directly using their own RealMe. There will no longer be a need to have the sponsorship forms certified by a Justice of the Peace. If the advisor is completing the sponsorship form on behalf of the sponsor, they then will need to input their own contact details, and post successful submission of the visa application, they should receive an email requesting them to complete the sponsor's information. The reason why this is a two-step process is because we cannot guarantee the advisor is representing the sponsor too. Partnership forms will also follow the same process in the Enhanced Immigration Online System. And just to make you all aware, advisors will be required to provide a paper authority to act form if they are representing the advisor too. So they'll need to upload one of those saying, I have the authority to act on this individual's behalf. Great, moving on to email notifications. Applicants will receive email notifications if they're required to take action. For example, when they have been asked to supply further information such as health and sponsorship. Applicants will be directed to log into their Enhanced Immigration Online account to find more information about what action they need to take. Visa outcomes will also be emailed. So if an applicant's application is successful, the applicant will receive an email notification to let them know their visa is approved. If an application is declined, this will not be communicated by email. The applicant will receive an email notification prompting them to log into their Enhanced Immigration Online account to read the decision. The reason for not emailing declined decisions is for privacy and security reasons. And just to obviously make everyone aware and state the obvious, email notifications are sent out to the primary contact. If the primary contact is the immigration advisor, they will receive emails and not the applicant. Right, so tracking the status of an application is now much easier also. When an applicant logs into their Enhanced Immigration Online account, they will be able to view the status of applications within their dashboard. Basically, an advisor will be able to see a list of any draft or submitted applications, a summary of their applications, the status of their submitted applications, any action they need to take. So ideally, displaying the status up front should reduce the number of calls to the ICC. And an interesting stat is about 40% of the 1 million annual calls to the ICC are around seeking an update to the status of a visa application on hand with Immigration New Zealand. So when it comes to statuses, there are 6 different statuses in the new system. Submitted obviously means the application has been successfully made to Immigration New Zealand and no processing has commenced. Under assessment means that one or more tasks of the application are being assessed. Waiting on you basically means the application is on hold until further information is received from the applicant. This status may include what information INZ is waiting on. For example, waiting on your sponsor to complete their sponsorship declaration. Then you obviously have the status approved, declined, and withdrawn, which are pretty self-explanatory. So if the visa was applied for using the enhanced immigration online system, the applicant can also apply for a reconsideration if the application was declined, or a variation of conditions via their immigration online account instead of having to use a paper application like current process. Great, so moving on to applying on behalf of and sharing of applications. Licensed immigration advisors and people exempt from licensing can submit visa applications on behalf of their clients. If an advisor lists themselves as the primary contact for the application, they will be the one to receive email notifications and not the visa applicant. People applying on behalf of others will be required to complete a paper declaration form, which needs to be uploaded to the supporting documents section of the online application. The declaration must be signed by the applicant and gives the advisor or third party the authority to submit and act on behalf of the applicant. So similar to the INZ 1160 advisor details form that's currently filled out and uploaded. The system will ask for details of the person who is applying on behalf and ask in what capacity you are completing this form. If someone declares they are licensed or exempt from licensing and provide advice, then they'll be asked to fill in their details as per the next slide. Great, so if a licensed immigration advisor is completing the form or has provided immigration advice, the form will ask for their details. Specifically to licensed immigration advisors, they'll be asked to input their number, and we'll start inputting their number in and it'll be pulled directly from the New Zealand Immigration Advisors Authority and autocomplete. When it comes to applying on behalf of, advisors will be able to see a list of applications they have submitted on behalf of their clients with the ability to view them alphabetically or date created. There is also a search function for ease of reference. So the way applications are shared is also more streamlined in the enhanced immigration online system. Immigration advisors or the nominated person who wants to gain access to the application will need an immigration online account to be able to look at someone else's application. Each immigration online account has a unique sharing ID. The applicant will share the application by providing the sharing ID to the person they want to grant access to, such as an immigration advisor. Applications can also be shared the other way around. For example, the advisor can create the application and share it with the client via their sharing number. Anyone an applicant shares their application with will have the same access to the application as the applicant. This essentially means they can view the visa application and any associated information, including supporting documents, edit the visa application if it is still in draft, withdraw or submit the visa application, and share the application with further people. I should reiterate, email notifications from Immigration Online about an application will only be sent to the email address listed as the primary contact. They are not sent to everyone the application is shared with. So sharing IDs are relatively easy to find when a person logs into their INZ account, as evidenced on this slide. And I guess when it comes to networks, as with the current sharing functionality, advisors can create networks, which are known as firms in the current Immigration Online system, to collaborate on applications shared within the network. In this case, the network has its own ID and applications can be shared to the network. INZ will also have administrator users who can share any application with a user in order to ensure applications don't get lost. For example, if an advisor is working on an application and ceases to stops working, an applicant or another advisor is able to pick up the application by contacting an INZ administrator who will then be able to share it with that respective individual. So obviously someone can be granted access. So it's not just lost in limbo in the system. Next slide, please. So I'm going to pass it over to Nick Oldys now to talk about how this new system will change INZ.
Thanks, Josh. That was a really nice overview of how the system will change for the users and what their role will be. So, thanks. That was great. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Nick Oldys. I'm the Director of Policy Integration here at Immigration New Zealand, and I'm one of the business owners for the program. It's great to be here today. It's good to see so many people in the room. Actually, got around 520 people here, which is it's good to see a level of interest in this. I'm going to talk today about how the technology changes also enable a change in the way INZ processes visas. But before I get started on that, I'll talk to you about why we are making these changes, which are essentially it's about building for the future. So the enhancements to Immigration Online will support Immigration New Zealand to become a more agile organisation in the future. They will allow us to respond more quickly to demands on the immigration system. So for example, changes to immigration policy settings will be able to be implemented more quickly and effectively, and the peaks and lows in visa volumes will be able to be managed more effectively without us building up queues or having latent resources. So the system will be faster and easier for us to make changes to application forms when policy settings change. I think Matt mentioned that we'll be doing these in-house rather than having our vendors need to change the coding on our systems, which will enable us to do things more quickly and with less resources. And work can be directed to staff at any INZ location. So this flexibility means that we are better equipped to handle fluctuating application volumes, distribute work, and avoid and clear backlogs. So people will be encouraged to apply online using the smartphones with information feeding directly into our visa processing system. So, for example, during the recent COVID alert levels 3 and 4, Immigration New Zealand has real challenges processing its paper applications. They can't be processed off-site because we can't move the paper because of information security and privacy reasons, and that creates real issues for us in terms of our ability to maintain a decent processing velocity. That will be a thing of the past under the system. The enhanced Immigration Online system enables the automation of some tasks, and that'll give us more time for more complex visa processing, and I'll talk you through that shortly. As more of our products move onto the enhanced Immigration Online system, visa processing timeframes will be improved, and as I say, any backlogs will be avoided and reduced. So I'll talk through a little bit about automation now. So some of the tasks we'll be looking to automate are, for example, requesting a sponsor to complete a sponsorship declaration to be submitted using their Immigration Online account, and establishing or verifying identity using biographic and biometric information from the visa application and our records, and for example, using the data from the machine readable zone of an applicant's passport, and then at some stage reasonably soon after launch, as Josh mentioned, we'll be using an app to collect the EGIP information off the passport and prevent that from having to be submitted manually. We'll also be assessing whether additional information is required from an applicant using automation, for example, medical information, and automatically sending a request for that information to the applicant. So how that will work in practice is applications will be submitted, and we will then advise applicants and their advisors what medicals are required. and notifying the outcome of the decision and issuing visa-related documentation will also be automated. The automation of administrative tasks means that frontline immigration staff will have more time to focus on processing activities that need expert or manual review, like someone's purpose for being in New Zealand or whether they are bona fide and genuine. Okay. So the enhanced system starts processing an application from the moment it is submitted. The system performs some automated checks to check the information submitted against our business rules and the relevant visa assessment criteria. If an application meets the business rules, it'll automatically move on to the next step for processing. So this means that activities that require an Immigration New Zealand staff member to review them will be flagged, but low-risk administrative tasks in the submission process can pass through the system automatically with no delay, so it'll be instant. So these changes enable us to move to a new way of processing our visas internally. So instead of giving an application to one person to process end to end, an activity will be created for each task in the visa application that requires a manual review from an INZ staff member. So activities for manual review can be looked at concurrently. Multiple things can happen at the same time, other than waiting for one immigration officer to look at each piece one after another. So basically that means that multiple people can be working on a visa application at the same time. And it also means straightforward visa applications can process through processing more quickly and don't need to get held up in a queue behind more complex applications. So this does mean that applicants and advisors won't have a single point of contact all the way through, but they will have better visibility of the processing of their application and its progress through the system through the status updates on their Immigration Online dashboard. So it will take time for all of the benefits to be realised as more visa products move onto the enhanced system. So remembering that to begin with, before the end of this year, we'll be opening the system to visitor visa applications and then moving progressively with our other products, probably starting with student visas in the new year. I'll just have a quick, next slide, thanks. Yep, I'll just talk about RFI and PPI letters briefly. So if during an assessment an issue or concern is raised, this will be collated into a request for information or RFI letter to the applicant or their advisor. So where different INZ staff could be assessing different parts of an application, the RFIs will be collated into one response letter, so you obviously won't get 3 or 4 different pieces of communication from us. The collated information will be done by one immigration officer, who will be the officer reviewing the response submitted, so you'll know who that information is from and be able to communicate with them. An email will be sent to the primary contact asking them to log into Immigration Online to read the RFI letter. Where the applicant responds, that will go back to the same person at Immigration New Zealand. And PPI requests will be treated in the same way. So once all the activities for an application are complete, a decision can be made and the system will send the applicant an email to let them know that a decision has been made. So the number of activities that need to be reviewed for a particular application will obviously vary from application to application. Immigration New Zealand staff will be able to assess tasks from anywhere in New Zealand. So this is a change because at the moment specific officers specialise in specific visa types and visa categories. Enabling staff to operate from any of our offices obviously enables work to be flexibly distributed across our network and flexibly react to changes in immigration settings or lows and peaks in application volumes. So there should be, as I say, enhanced efficiency from our point of view and enabling us to better manage things like the student peak or the peak visitor visa period. So that's all from me. So I'll throw back to you now, Josh.
Cool. Just bear with me while I spotlight everyone. So we do have time left over for a live Q&A. I'd like to introduce Gordon Barlow, who will be here to assist as well. Okay, so we've got a few questions coming up through the Q&A. So the first one we've partially answered. So correct me if I'm wrong, the answer is yes, there will be a face checker or quality checker as part of when you submit the application. And the second question, under the new system, will advisors have the ability to see the dates of existing medical and police certificates?
I can pick those up. Yes, we will have and continue to have a digital face image checker. The difference, however, will be where the check fails for the third time. There will be the option to proceed to submit that failed image and seek an exemption. That will cause a staff member to look at the image and just check that it is a largely compliant image of a person's face and shoulders. So it's obviously quicker to give us an image that is that passes the face quality check. But there is an option if that just proves impossible. In relation to the dates of lodgement for meds and police certificates, a very good question. The police certificates are a little bit problematic while we are in the state of having a legacy system and this new enhanced system. Over time, I'm pretty certain we ought to be able to provide a view of police certificates because over time they will be recorded in the enhanced system and be able to be displayed in that enhanced system. Initially, I'm afraid we cannot deliver on that. We have spent quite a bit of time looking into that issue because we do realise it's a pain point for you.
Great, thanks, Gordon. And another great question, will advisors have access to old applications in the system? So currently, obviously submit an application under the existing Immigration Online. Will they still be able to have access to documents previously submitted? And I guess a follow-on question from that is, going forward, if an applicant submits a document under the new system, will there be the ability to be able to reuse that document for future applications?
The short answer to the first question is yes, we are provisioning the ability to access the existing Immigration Online. We will not be migrating applications from that system to the new system, but there will be the ability to get to them. In terms of reuse, again, we spent a bit of time looking at this. In effect, the reuse option is the ability to download an existing document and re-upload it. I recognise that's not quite what you're asking here, but we did look at that possibility.
Nick, perhaps a question for you. I'm not sure, but will there be some form of user guide for licensed immigration advisors or lawyers to follow the new system produced?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're working on that at the moment. And in fact, these sorts of questions will help us in terms of the formulation of it. So, to assist you in terms of your role and use of the system. It'll be fairly intuitive, right? So, it's not, shouldn't be a massive change, but obviously it's new, and so, guidance will be provided.
Wonderful, thank you.
Great. Question here around introduction of the statuses of the application. And Nick, you might need just to reiterate part of what you said in your PowerPoint. We asked, will it include the immigration officer's details? So maybe just an overview of how tasks will be disseminated out now, but when it comes to RFI and PPI, that'd be great.
Yeah, so there won't be an individual immigration officer associated with applications. So you'll be able to track the progress of the application through the online account. If we need to contact you in respect of information or PPI, at that point, that the information required will be collated and sent to you, and at that point you'll know who's asked for that information and where it's to be provided to.
Great, thanks, Nick. And under the current system, say an advisor starts preparing up a visa application, it's in draft mode, and then toward the end of it, if the applicant goes unlawful, they get a notice saying, please contact us, and essentially that application sits in draft, stuck in the system. Will there be the ability to be able to delete drafts or redundant applications that have been partially started?
Gordon, I might let you handle that.
The answer is yes.
Nice and easy. Thanks, Gordon.
Will decisions on some applications be made without any human intervention?
It's an excellent question. The system gives us the ability to do that, but initially that won't be the case. We need to be very careful in terms of how that operates. Going forward, in a perfect universe, what we would do is we would automate some decision making for very straightforward applications where we are granting a visa. There's no plans and no intention to automate declines. So every decline would be taken by an immigration officer under instructions.
Thank you. Just a question, as there may be some staff members working from home in the future, if INZ move most of their major work online, how do we ensure the privacy info of security? Someone other than INZ can easily take a photo and view the screen at home.
So we'll have standard operating procedures around how and where applications are processed. We're obviously very, very aware of our privacy obligations and are working with the Privacy Commissioner on how this new system's going to work. And there's a privacy impact assessment which will be available, which talks you through that. But that's an issue we'll be aware of. And at times there is going to be a need to work remotely. I mean, in the case of the current global pandemic, where offices are closed and they can't go in, and we completely acknowledge the need to be able to keep processing in such circumstances. But we're confident that with the obligations placed on our staff around information security, we'll be able to be complied with in those sorts of environments.
Thanks, Nick. Do lawyers have to supply an authority to act form? At the moment, lawyers only have to have the client sign a declaration, in other words, Form 1225.
So that won't be changing, I don't think, but Gordon on.
Correct, Nick, that won't be changing.
Great. And can we just confirm for the audience, obviously where immigration is moving toward an online-based world, will there still be a paper route available to those where obviously, say, your infrastructure is not as strong or they don't have access to the internet?
So initially, yes. So when we go live with the visitor visa product, the paper channel will still be there. Over time, we need to seriously consider the future of the paper channel. It creates problems for us in the current environment. It's really inefficient, sort of relying on the mail and so on. But if we do move to close it, we just need to understand what the impacts are on applicants and have solutions in place to deal with that. But I would say that applicants will be strongly encouraged to use the new system simply because it'll be easier for them and faster in terms of our processing model. And I would think, progressively over the next little while, we'll be looking to remove as much paper from the system as we can.
Great. And just when it comes down to sharing of applications, for example, if an advisor completes and submits the application and then shares it with the client, are they able to restrict the client from looking at a certain document that's been provided? The reference here is such as something provided by an employer, which is probably more geared towards the incoming accredited employer work visa policy.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Gordon, do you?
There is the ability to share. Okay, this is probably more about the as Josh said, the system that is to come later, and there will be the ability to share just, for instance, the migrant work visa application with the migrant, and not share the accreditation or the job check application. There's also the ability to share some of the outputs of the system. So there is the ability, for instance, to share the visa record that is created on a successful application without actually sharing the application. There's also the ability to share the application, which will then share the visa record. So there's a little bit of a hierarchy around that sharing. I'm sure the user guide will pick this up in detail and provide more guidance.
So just an additional note on that, I think one of the strengths of the new employer accreditation system is that it enables us to get relevant information directly from the employer rather than channeling it through the visa applicant, which is the current arrangement. So it does resolve a lot of those potential confidentiality and privacy issues in terms of how the employer's business is being run.
Nick, could you just reaffirm there's quite a lot of interest as the visa application moves through the system? Will advisors or lawyers be able to identify the case officer that is working on an application through the process, or is it just at the end?
So the system as it's being designed does not have individual case officers per application, right? Because of the way it's task-based as opposed to case-based. Where we will contact, where we need more information or there's a PPI, that information will be bundled up and provided to the applicant or advisor, and at that point you'll have a name of somebody in relation to that request. So that's how the system will work. So just to be clear, the current system, an immigration officer manages the application from end to end. That's not how the new system will operate. But you will need, where required, you will be provided with the name of someone who's managing additional information requests and so on. You'll be able to assess or view the progress of the application through your Fitti Online dashboard.
Nick, just leading on from that, it seems like quite a few people are confused and are under the assumption that we'll be merging the request for information with a PPI letter. Can we just go back to that slide and potentially reiterate that it's a task-based process, and that at one point, if there's any outstanding action, it'll be merged and one individual will take over as such?
Yeah. Request for information and PPIs are different things, obviously, and where we've got a request for information, we'll obviously provide that in the way that it's currently provided. We'll send an email asking for that information. Where we need it in relation to more than one activity or more than one task, that'll be bundled up and provided as a single request for information, so you won't get multiple ones in relation to, say, identity or character or health. With respect to PPIs, that will operate the same way. If there is more than one area of concern, that will be raised in a single piece of communication, but the differences between RFI and PPI will be retained. We're not looking to merge them. Is there anything you need to add there, Gordon? Anything I've misunderstood?
That's absolutely correct, Nick, and nothing to add. Thank you.
Cool. And just leading on from that, so if there is, say, a request for information which has been issued or a PPI letter, will the letter be directly emailed to the primary contact, or will they be given an email prompting them to log into Immigration Online to see what the contents of the letter?
A letter.
Login to immigration.
An email notification requesting login. The information is sensitive and not entirely appropriate to send directly by email. It's not a secure channel.
Great. And obviously, you're talking around fees. Will the cost of an application change?
So yes, the normal process for assessing fees and doing fees reviews will continue. It won't be immediate. So the cost of the visitor visa, come December, for example, will still be the same as the current fee. Same for the other product types. Once the system's embedded, we'll review the fee model, and if any changes to be need to be made in that regard, that will occur in the normal regulatory way. So ministers need to agree to the new fee levels and pass regulations and so on and so forth. So changes to fees are kind of independent from what we're doing here. Do expect there to be some benefits, obviously, and any efficiencies would normally get factored into the fee model. But that's a process that is separate from the work that we're doing now, which is just getting the platform up and running.
Will the new 2021 new resident visa application be processed on this new system?
So that's an excellent question. At this stage, the first phase, it won't be. That's due to go live in December for existing SMC applicants and people in the EOI pool. Anyway, the second phase, which is going to be up and running early next year, we're examining our options there. I think in a perfect universe, we would be able to do it. It's just whether there's a process we have to go through in order to get approval and agreement for how we're going to manage those applications. It's possible.
There's a few questions around, can we upload files larger than the 10 megabyte currently provided for?
At this stage, we're retaining the 10 megabyte limit. We are interested in hearing if there are issues with that, particularly in the visitor visa space, and if so, what a preferred limit might be. To be clear, we do need a limit, and that's because it's security control to help prevent malicious attacks where somebody attempts to upload a ridiculously large file and sort of denies service to other people. So 10 meg is the limit. We are interested in hearing if that is a problem, and we're certainly interested in hearing what the limit could be.
Thank you.
Just a question here. I know I've asked you this, Gordon, but I'll re-ask it again. People would like us to confirm whether there is the ability to reuse documentation previously uploaded. For example, if the same partnership evidence is still valid and current, is there an ability to select something previously provided to INZ electronically in the past?
Initially, no. We are open to that possible enhancement in the future. We recognise that sometimes currency of the information uploaded is vital, but there's certainly the ability to download that evidence from our system and re-upload it.
Right. And with this, obviously, this new SMART system, which requests certain information post the submission of the application, will the system give a particular time frame? For example, how long does the system give you to provide the medical? And if you don't provide it within that time frame, what happens?
So that'll be we'll be able to set system rules to do that if required. I think with things like medicals, we probably, I don't know what our plan is initially with visitor visa. We're not going to get too many, but we wouldn't normally, place face an unrealistic kind of time frame around that. Gordon, I don't know whether we've got any specifics around what we're going to do there.
We certainly have the capability to monitor where applications are in the system, including those applications where we're waiting for a medical, and that does give us the capability to follow up and just find out where something's at. But no, not to the extent of configuring a time limit and any resultant sanctions. No.
Yeah, because I think you remember at that stage we will have accepted the application, taken the application fee, so we've sort of obligated to process it. You don't want them sitting there for years, so we'll need some kind of standard operating procedures around what to do about those, which will probably involve contacting the client and before we would take any action in terms of a decision on that application.
Great. Mindful of the time, we might begin to wrap up as I know a few of you have other commitments. Over to you, Matt.
Great, thanks very much, Josh, and our expert panel.